Let's see. Okay, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Dallas is going to be taking a couple of weeks off. He's got AHRA business that he needs to attend. He's wrapping up the season. He's got all kinds of crazy stuff going on. Plus, he's working with his channel too. So I'm flying solo tonight. That's why we're not like in the usual AHRA studio. I came here on my comfy zebra couch, and we'll do it from here tonight. I'm probably going to take off next week myself too on Wednesday. So if you don't know, we're doing three. Oh Jesus, I don't know how we're going to do this. Okay, we're doing 3 nights of live, or days and nights of live. Friday night we're going live for the setup, everything with the Hemi GTX build. Saturday we'll be live all day, assembling the motor, getting in the car, doing all of that stuff. No, I'm sorry. We'll be assembling the motor and all of that, and then painting it. And then Sunday it goes in the car. We fire it up, we break it in, and we send it. So we're probably looking at I'm gonna say close to 30 hours of live over. I gotta find another line of work. Okay, we're gonna do about 30 hours of live broadcast this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And on top of that, I'm still gonna do our regular Sunday night show. Yeah, I'm gonna do our regular Sunday night show on top of everything else. So the Junkyard Jet guys are gonna be here to help out. They'll be here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it ought to be it's going to be an experience for sure. So let's see who we got in here. Yes, it's Tony in Dallas minus Dallas. This is Dallas has got he's got sanctioning body stuff to work with. He's got AHRA stuff to work. He texted me. He was like, "Is it okay if I miss tonight?" I said, "Oh, do what you got to do." You know what I mean? He has a lot on his plate, right? Um, so okay, who we all got off? All right, so hi everybody, hi all the regulars. Um, Hi Crazy Wrench Garage. It's going pretty good, man. It's going pretty good. I got the cam back from comp. I haven't opened the package yet. So after the show tonight, geez, after the show tonight, I'm going to take it inside. I'm going to measure every single aspect of it. The only thing, and I believe it or not, see, here you go. Here's something I have to Google. I need to, because I've never had to do this before, but I need to figure out exactly how much taper there is to each lobe. I have to make sure that each lobe is tapered so that we get spin. You know, we can't screw this thing up. So we'll see what happens with that. But toast. So I guess you spent 1.5 hours breaking into their own truck with 2 pry bars and a long bent screwdriver. Also, you know, Autoport says longer carry Jimmy bars. That's why I never lock anything I own. I don't care. I would rather it be stolen. Go ahead, knock yourself out. Steal whatever you want to. Steal the whole freaking car. I don't care. I would rather have it missing. I just had this conversation with somebody today, right? They were like, you don't use fuses when you wire a car? I was like, my own car? No, I would rather the thing just burn to the ground. I would rather it just go up in flames than have to spend a minute saying, this goes where? Oh, okay. No, I wire A to B, no relays, no fuses. I don't give a shit. That's not to say, you know, stuff I drive every day, or like Kathy's daily driver and everything. That all has regular fuse boxes. But like when I build a hot rod for myself, no, man, nothing. I would rather the car just burn to the frickin' ground than have to spend 10 minutes trying to troubleshoot something like that. Joan Wilburn came in here. Let's see. Craig Chido, UTS sent like there's a 7.25 ring and pinion in the Chevy S10 front axle. It's not based on the 7.25 crossover. It's the 7.25 is also known as the AAM, and no, it's a different 7.25 inch ring gear than that one. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. Donna Wendy English. What's going on? I guess that's Wendy. Competition cams. Hey, look. Yes, it was. Yes, it was competition cams. If you look at the previous videos we did, right? What happened was we have a friend who's an engineer over there at ComCams, and he wanted to spec the cam for this particular build. So that's why we went. That's why we went that way. And Andy paid like any other customer. Actually, I think they overcharged him, to tell you the truth. I think he paid more than any other customer, but that's besides the point. It was all paid for. So it's not like there was any special treatment or anything like that. It was just spec specifically for this build. But yeah. Able to UT of your update last video on the quality control. Yes, I've got the cam back in my hands. They did turn it around fast. I give them that credit for that. They got it right back to me. So it left here yesterday afternoon, and no, it left here Monday afternoon, and it got back here today. So that's a lightning fast turnaround, and so I appreciate that. You know what I mean? I appreciate that. Eric Brownworld, please let the Mopar guys allow the assembly of the Hemi to go off without a hitch. We're doing it live, man. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be what it's going to be. Run small diameter import slicks. A possibility. Okay, here's the thing with this car now, right? It is so gutted. Now we're talking about Plan Z, and he's talking about my issue with gear ratio. Okay. So here's the thing with this car. It is so gutted and so light in the rear, right, that you can literally just go to the car, right, and grab like the quarter panel, okay, like the wheel opening, and just lift it off the ground. Okay. There's no weight back there, like none. Okay. So I need a fairly substantial tire, and I need footprint front to back, because footprint front to back doesn't steal as much horsepower as footprint side to side. So it's got an 8.5-inch wide slick on it, which is as big. That's the offset. That's what I can get in the wheel opening. Although I don't have any problem opening up the wheel opening, but the that front to back footprint, you can see it's traction limited right now, right? I'm afraid to go to a smaller diameter slick, because then I lose that front to back footprint. But I would gain gear ratio, which would make the traction problem even worse. So I would rather find the gear. I think that tire is the perfect size, the perfect construction for that car. I have no other qualms about it. It's just gear ratio. I need gear ratio. Let's see. Driver empty pockets racing. Are you going to dimple dye any of the holes to put some stiffness back in the panels? You mean on Plan Z? It's not necessary. There is no flex. It's solid. It's straight. There's no. Bro, this is a drag car, man. It just goes in a straight freaking line, is all it does. It doesn't go over bumps. It doesn't get moved around in traffic and whoop-de-doos down on the road. It's a freaking drag car. It goes in a straight line. That whole front end could be made out of freaking balsa wood, and it'll do exactly the same thing. There's no need in dimple dyeing any of that stuff. It's a drag car. And it's an extremely low horsepower drag car at that. Mr. Squirt McGurk, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Five scuttles from Squirt McGurk. Now I could say it's actually happened to me. Took the Monte Carlo for a test drive today. All good until I tried wide open throttle. Throttle got stuck open. Big problem. Kill the ignition, man. Just kill the ignition. Let's see. Central Bear sandbags, iron weight disc, 7-inch slicks by Hoover. I am not adding an ounce to that car. I don't care what it takes. No. There's no way I could add. No way I would consider adding any sort of ballast to that car. I'm still trying to take weight out of it. And the 7-inch slicks are not going to be enough. Not going to be enough. Shane Atwater, so do you have everything needed to build the engine? The Hemi, yes. Danny Boy, Tony, what happened to the passenger side of the box truck? I mean, a dent that was there when I got it. It was always there. Joseph Rayo, any ideas on how to pull more weight out? And he's talking about Plan Z. I'm taking the car completely apart over the winter. So I had to take it apart anyway because the last time we ran it at the track, I hurt the number one and number six. I said number five in a video, but it was number five. It was number six. I spun the number one and the number five, number six rod bearings. And because as soon as this thing starts to pull, like what happened was it was dead off the starting line. It was dead on the hit, which is why it didn't make any ET. But as soon as I got over that stumble, it pulled really hard. I mean, it pulled like a race car. It felt really good. And at the same time that it was feeling good, the oil pressure gauge took a dump. Just there was nobody home, just zero oil pressure. So I drove it out anyway. The oil pressure came back and went back down again. So what was happening was the oil sloshed away from the pickup as the car was accelerating. It starved the rod bearings, it spun number one and number six. So I brought it back to the shop, dropped the pan. The crank didn't look bad, but you could see there were witness marks, and the rods didn't look bad either. They were aluminum bearings, and so the aluminum bearings they're really soft. I really shouldn't use aluminum bearings. I should use the tri-metal, but there were no tri-metal bearings available for that crank when I put it together. So that's why it's got the aluminum ones in there. So make a long story short, I pulled the pan. I polished out the crank as best I could. I changed the rod bearings, but I know that it's hurt. And so that's why I didn't want to drive it out because I don't care. Like the crank is already hurt as far as I'm concerned. I've got to take it out and I'm going to just cut it another 10 tenths, 20 right now. So I'm going to go another 10 with it. I don't care if I hurt the crank. My fear was that it tosses a rod because I have so much time in that block, lightening that block, that I don't want to have to go through that again. So that's why I was just going to only do a quick shot because people are like, take it to the track the way it is. No, I don't want to freaking oil down a track because if I run it out, it will throw a rod. So that's why all we did was just screw around in the parking lot. So over the winter, I'm taking the thing completely apart. I'll do the crank, and I have a few places where I know I can get a pound here and a pound there and 3 ounces here and 3 ounces there. So over the winter, it'll be completely apart, and I'll make my changes at that point. And Zero is here. Zero is here. Wild Willie Junk Life, did you fire Dallas? No. Dallas is doing AHRA stuff right now. This is the end of his season, and he's swamped. You also remember some Dallas is a family man. He's got a wife. He's got 2 kids. He's got his regular. He's a worker. For him, it's hard. It's difficult for him to actually come out here and do these lives. So like, okay, he needs a day. He needs a week or 2 off from this because he's got to catch up on stuff. So he's going to take a week or 2 off, and I'm going to do this. Anthony Santiago, any ideas on a new oil pan configuration? I think the big thing, Anthony, okay, so here's the thing, right? The sump, okay, it's got a very shallow sump, and the sump goes up like this towards the back, okay? So you got this shape, and it's actually a ramp that as it accelerates, it automatically throws the oil back up there. Now, here's the unique thing about the Slant 6. With the stroke, that 4 1/4 inch stroke that it has, the connecting rods come down and almost touch the back of the oil pan. The number 6 connecting rod and the counterweight. Not so much the counterweight, but the rod actually comes down and comes within a 1/4 inch of the back of the oil pan. So what happens is you have this ramp that goes up like this, and then it goes like this, and right where it's here is where the number 6 connecting rod is. So when you accelerate, the oil rolls up that ramp, and a lot of it gets whipped up by that number 6 connecting rod. So you lose a bunch of oil volume just in what's going to get caught up in that rod. So what I'm planning on doing is dropping the sump approximately 2 inches. I'd probably go more, but I think 2 inches will do the job. And then I'm going to build a reverse area. So instead of the back of the sump coming up like this, the back of the sump will come like this and like this. So this way, as the oil gets pushed back, it has no choice but to kind of like stay there. You know what I mean? We'd have to climb over that Z to get into the. So that's the plan right now as it's in my mind. Fordman 428. Will cleanup of casting flash on a cast crank affect balance enough to cause concerns? No. Don't worry about it. Take it off. And a lot of that has to do with the type of crank that it is too. So if you're dealing with a V8 crank, the counterweights on a V8 crank are very important. Okay, the small amount you're going to take off, just clean up flash. No, you won't have any problem with that at all. You could actually you could take off more than just the flash, but just the flash. Go just with the flash and taking down, smoothing any of the rough edges, any sharp edges that are on it. You won't affect the balance. If it's a 6-cylinder crank, an inline six, you don't need the counterweights. You don't even need the freaking things. So just knock yourself out. Take off as much as you want. But on a V8, you've got to be careful with that. Mike Smith, thank you, sir. Weird question. There's no such thing as a weird question. You should spend some time in my world. Someone apparently was sandblasting close to my mom's 340 dart with the hood open, and they were afraid some got in the car. Can the motor be flush? Oh God! I tell you what. Here's what I would do, man. Just take the carburetor off. Just take the carburetor. Don't open the throttle, right? Don't open the throttle. Take the carburetor off, and then when the carburetor's off, you can judge if it could, because okay, the sand isn't going to get past the closed throttle blades. It'll stay in the throttle blades. If by some chance you opened the throttle, you may have dropped some sand into the motor. But I would say, if you haven't opened the throttle yet, just remove the carburetor and clean it out. Because if any sand got in there, it's going to get caught up in the throttle blades. Hollywood, okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. UT, what you upgrades suggest for a factory stock 1991 Dakota 5.2 auto to make 300 wheel horsepower? Can the air pump be eliminated? Yeah, you can eliminate the air pump. 300 wheel horsepower is a tune on that, man. It's not going to take much. It's not going to take much. I mean, it's let's see, it's a TBI. That's a TBI. I would go carburetor, and I would put a set of headers on the thing. I think you're okay with carburetor converted to carburetor, a set of long tube headers, and a very mild cam. You don't need much of a cam. You know, it's a pretty efficient motor as it is. You know what I'm saying? The basic bolt-ons, just the basic bolt-ons. Maybe somebody here has an actual formula for you that they've done it themselves. Mostly all parts. Ron Ward, what's happening, Ron Ward? Greetings from Kansas. What's happening? Ari, what's happening, brother? ABB 4323. Hey, Tony, have you ever ridden on a Viper? Yes, I have. What do I think of them? They're not really my cup of tea. I mean, they're pretty okay. You know what I mean? But they're really not my cup of tea. And the sound, I don't like the sound of those things. I mean, yeah, they're okay. Hollywood, yes, TBI, but I like to stay injected though. Then you've got to find somebody who can tune that. I don't know how tunable those computers are. I don't know how tunable those computers are. Remember, the computer that controls the throttle body also controls the ignition, so your advance curve is built into that. And your biggest thing with getting those things to move is the advance curve. The advance is it's curved more for drivability, emissions, and fuel mileage than it is for performance. I have no idea how tunable those computers are. Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage, what is happening? Andy's got a great video. You guys, any carburetor people? You're working with carburetors, want to learn about carburetors, especially Holly carburetors? Andy just put up a fantastic video on his channel. So absolutely go check that out. Mike Smith, what if sand got inside the motor? Listen, Mike, we're gonna speculate over something that is unlikely, right? Take the carburetor off, right? Don't open the throttle. Take the carburetor off. Once the carburetor is off the thing, open the throttle. If sand falls out, then maybe you look on the inside of the intake manifold and see if there's sand on the inside of the intake manifold. And I mean, honestly, a small amount of it is just going to get blown through the engine. It's probably not going to hurt anything. But there's no sense in speculating until you actually take the carburetor off and look inside the carburetor to see if there's any sand. Larry Curtis, would you please do a video on torsion bar suspension and the differences between A, B, and C bodies? I did. I did a video on the torsion bars and all that, but I have no idea what it's called. I have like 600 freaking videos on. I have no idea which one it was in, but I definitely did the torsion bar video. Matt might have used a shop vac around the carb. Yeah. Doug Norton's asking Andy to do an Edelbrock performance car video. I don't think Andy likes Edelbrocks. I don't think he's am I right or wrong about that, Andy? And I'm so Andy and I'm going to be on Andy's show next Friday night. Okay, Andy is doing an Edelbrock carburetor video. Excellent. ABB 4323. Hey Tony, whatever happened to that dude with the broken down Dodge truck that you gave part for? Did he make it or break it? He did make it. He made it. Actually, if you go to Jim Bennett's Hot Rod Garage, you go to his channel. He covered that whole thing. He was so yeah, there and back and all of the hijinks and drama in between. So he's got all that covered on his channel. Off-road against Tony. I did that Holly Sniper on my 1990 Ram truck. I remember we were talking about that last week. Off-trail rig, and now my carb stall is completely gone, better than I thought it would be. I'm glad it worked out for you. Excellent. Excellent. Let's see. Chris Roberts, heard anything on the Hemi cam issue? I have the cam back in my possession. And after the show tonight, I'm going to check it over. It's still in the package. I haven't opened the package yet. Mostly old ports. Ron, what causes excessive condensation in the exhaust system? Coolant level remains full, yet makes a lot of steam on cold start, so much that water just at the drain hole in the muffler. After 20 minutes, it clears up. I don't know, Ron. I mean, some cars make more condensation than others. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Probably, maybe not running it long enough the previous time that you ran it, that you get a lot of water accumulate in there. You know, did you have little drain holes drilled in the bottom of the mufflers? Talked up. I want to hear your thoughts on building AMC motors. I have never hot rodded an AMC motor. I've worked on many AMC motors. Back in the day when I was a regular mechanic, you know, there was just AMC motor was like anything else. And they're good engines. They're really good engines. And if anybody is familiar with Magnum engines, you already are familiar with the AMC motor, because they took the entire valve train from the AMC motor from the V8 and adapted it to the Chrysler. So no, they're good engines, but I've never hot rodded one. Danny Boyd, yeah, good luck with AMC as far as finding parts. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, though, man. The Jeep guys, like hardcore Jeep people, you know, they know where all those parts are. You know, it's not unheard of. People are still building, especially the 360. The 360 is like the engine that the Jeep guys go after. So there's still aftermarket support for those things. There's still a fairly intensive enthusiast network where you'll be able to score parts and information. Wild Willie, West Virginia. Austin said on Bennett Channel, car can be done by the end of the year. I knew better. I think they're doing great for 1 day a week. They listen. They work full-time jobs, right? I mean, these aren't, they're not slackers. These guys really they work. Okay, um, they work full-time jobs and they all live an hour away from here. So it's not like they could just, oh, I got a few minutes to kill. Let me just go do something on the car. No, they actually have to put a lot. It takes a lot of effort for them to actually get here to work on the car. So you have to take that into consideration. And I think that they're doing a fantastic job given the limitations that they have to work with. Um, I think they're doing a fantastic job. And people keep saying, right? I keep seeing in the comments, I bet you that car is going to be faster than anything Uncle Tony owns. Well, God, I hope that it is. If they can put me in, just blow my freaking doors off, that means that I won. That means that I passed on. You know what I mean? And does that make any sense? When you tutor somebody, your goal is to make them better than you. You know what I mean? I don't want to bring them along and say, oh well, I'm only going to teach you this much so I can stay on top. No, man. My goal is to make that anybody who I take under my wing, anybody who I try to teach, or I don't even like the word teach. Anybody who I like to guide, right? Just use my experience to guide them, right? Anybody who I guide, my goal is to make them better than me. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job. Does that make any sense? Biker Bob, what's happening, Biker Bob? Um, Chris Scuduto, Uncle Tony, what are your thoughts on Ford's 4.6 Triton? I've never heard anything good about them. The Triton motor, that's yeah. No. Uh, I have no idea who this is. Okay. Um, Dripping Glass, have you tried the LED headlights that fit the 5 3/4 7-inch on the 60s cars? I haven't. A lot of people do. I'm not crazy about the way the LED lights look on I look at a 60s car. I want to see 60s headlights. Brian Power, you're late as always, but you're here, brother, man. You're here. New City Carpet, thank you. UTG experienced a major quality control failure this summer. Bad materials shipped for the sake of being on time. It's epidemic. Have you read the comments on a video that we put out yesterday? Because there's like over 1,000 comments now, and it's like it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Um, One of the things I'm going to be paying much closer attention to things like that are going on right now. Quality issues, material shortages, parts shortages, because it affects all of us universally. And going forward, I think we're gonna a little bit less emphasis on stuff that goes fast. Not obviously not eliminating that because that's the fun, right? But um, I think we're gonna start focusing more on survival as hot rodders, as car, not even as hot rodders. Forget about that. As car people, survival as car people. I think on this channel we're going to start focusing a little bit more on that because collectively we're up shit's creek. And I think we need to really come up with some. So I don't even want to say solutions, but at least get a handle on the direction and know know where we stand in the world of things, because people are we're car people, right? And it doesn't matter if you're restoring an old pickup truck or a farm tractor or a top fuel dragster. It doesn't make a difference. We're all car people, and we're all in the same boat, and we all have to get parts, and we all have to get liquids, fluids and oils and stuff like that, and we all have to work with tools, and we all have to deal with like getting parts in. So these are things that we all have in common, and I don't think any of us know where we stand right now in terms of the immediate future. So, like I said, I think I'm going to start focusing. I'm going to start really digging into some of these topics because they do affect all of us. You could be a motorcycle guy, you could be a pickup truck guy. It doesn't make any difference. We're all in the same boat right now. Doug Garden, I despise the fact that the junk has found us. I am with you, my brother. I am with you. Mr. Will, Tone, another quality control problem. The new Holly for my GMC, it came with a bent pump lever stud. Okay. Had to pull one from an old Holly. Box had no damage. Clearly quality control wears it in. I know, man. I know. I know. Space Invader, bring back parts manufacturing to America. Holy shit. Why didn't I think of that? That's the simplest solution there is. All right, yeah, let's do this. Let's get the parts manufacturing back here in this country. I'll wait. Is it back yet? Oh no. It might take more than just talking about it. Bad Tree Productions, what is happening, my brother? Chinesian parts suck. Don't blame it all on the Chinese. It's not all the Chinese. We got a lot of this stuff from India. Spacer, I know it's not easy, but that's what has to happen if you want any parts worth the shit. Well, I agree. And I think, Space Invader, I think we all agree. I think that it's an obvious thing. We have to bring all of the manufacturing back to this country. And not just the manufacturing, but the material production. No, we have to make our own steel. We have to make our own aluminum. We have to make our own magnesium and all of these other things, right? We have to do all that ourselves. But how do we get from where we are right now to that? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like obviously we have to bring it back to this country. Obviously we have to take control over the manufacturer of the machinery that keeps our country and our people moving. Obviously. But how do you go about it? I can tell you for sure, like right now, it appears to me that in the next 3 to 5 years, we're from an automotive standpoint, at least, I can't speak for every other aspect of society. I don't know every other aspect of society, but I can tell you right now, from a hot rodding restoration, screwing around with cars perspective, we're about to become a lot more like Cuba than you ever thought was possible. Zero is saying, I sell auto parts. We are running low as of a week ago, mostly shocks, etc. for your modern car, CV axles. I'm on the West Coast near the mouth of the US. I know. Carl Spackler, UTG, wheel size and available performance tires. I was reading an expert and claims to stay away from 15-inch rims as good quality tires are less available. I don't necessarily agree with that. 14s are hard to come by. I don't want to say hard to come by, but they're not all that common. 15s, no. You see, no. There's lots of choice when it comes to 15s. French onion, Cubans still drive 50s cars. Yes. Well, that's because there was that embargo for years. But what I'm saying is the Cubans had to adapt and create, and they need a windshield. They can't just go. They make a windshield. There's people in their freaking garages that make windshields, right? So they had to adapt, and they had to recycle, and they had to everything to keep these things on the road. It very um, well, very old school, right? Because if you go back to, see, we're spoiled. Hot rodders that came along in the 1940s and the 1950s, even before that, but the 40s and 50s, they didn't have what we have. They didn't have the availability of stuff that we had. When they did a cam modification, they ground their own cams. And you go back before, just talk about mechanics. You go back to the 1930s, 1940s. You didn't just go to the parts store and buy bearings. You made bearings. You poured your own babbitt and you made your own bearings. And in fact, I still have someplace right now. I still have a bearing knife that somebody gave me. It's so that you can clean the bearing after you. So we have it. Our generation, we've been spoiled by gross abundance of cheap parts. Cheap things, and that's going to go away. That's already going away. Uh, Wheelie King, it goes far beyond bringing it back to our shores. The people that would be guiding this monumental reverse exodus of manufacturing back to our shores do not have the pride of workmanship for success. And I agree with that too. Off-Roadigans, hey Tony, have you ever seen Vice Grip Garage? And if so, what do you think about the things he teaches? I talk to Derek on occasion. He only lives about 40 miles from here now. He's great. I love him. He and I do completely different things. We have two different audiences. Although there is a lot of over crossover. Uh, we do two different things. I think he's great. I think he's a great person. And he's a family man. He's very dedicated to his business. I mean, the guy is really 1,000%. So yeah, Vice Grip Garage, good guy, very good guy. Bill Brasky sent $5 Canadian. Thank you, sir. Explain the pyramid and the eye on the American $1 bill. Bro, I know you paid for a super chat to get an answer. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole on a Wednesday night show, but pop back on Sunday and maybe we'll talk about that stuff. I try to keep things. This is tech talk, right? So yeah, I would rather not talk about that stuff tonight. Come by Sunday, we'll talk about it. Derek's a pretty good mechanic. So yes, he is, absolutely. Butcher Pete, do you have any tips for keeping a 71 Demon safe from theft in New York City? Yeah, get the hell out of New York City. Wheelie, can you hit the nail on the head with that comment about India, Tony? People need to prepare for the fact that we are on the path of becoming a third world country. Yeah, I don't want to say we're all right. Again, right? We're going into areas that I don't really want to talk about on the Wednesday night show because I want to keep this centered on cars and car issues, even truck or motorcycle or whatever it happens to be. So third world country, I don't know about third world country. What I do know is that we're in the midst of in our industry. Again, I'm not talking about banking. I'm not talking about real estate. I'm not talking about supermarkets. I'm not talking about computers. I'm not talking about anything like that. I'm talking about our industry. Our industry, the world of cars, the world of machines. Okay, we're in the middle of a collapse. Our industry, our automotive industry, all aspects of it are in a free fall collapse right now as we speak. That's the problem. Now, how that affects everything else, well, we are as the people who keep everything moving. See, our society, our country, right, was built around the internal combustion engine and the free and easy access to parts and services and everything else, right? Our whole country, our way of life was built around the internal combustion engine. I mean, the first part of the world you saw after you were born was the trip home from the hospital, and you did it from an internal combustion engine. And the very last thing you see before they put your ass in the ground, well, you're going to get a ride in a hearse powered by an internal combustion engine. And in between, every single aspect of your life is touched, guided, and everything by the internal combustion engine. Period. The end. Okay. Now, what is happening to that system? You know what I'm saying? That's where we're at right now, and we are in a free fall collapse. We can't get parts. We can't get the parts we can get are of inferior and questionable quality. The manufacturers, since around 2015, have created a fleet of cars. The current cars they're unserviceable and getting worse all the time. So we are in like a seriously deep pile of doo-doo in the automotive world. And where we go, the rest of the country is going to follow. You see what I'm saying? Because we are the actual people that keep the trucks running and everything moving. You know what I'm saying? So we're in a lot of trouble here, and we have to start really trying to figure out what the answers are going to be. Buckaroo, Uncle Tony, I built my first motor, didn't degree cam. Used adjustable push rod, but not a checker spring. I don't know what you mean by a checker spring. Could it still run good cam dot to dot on a guessed push rod length? Push rod length has more to do with rocker arm geometry. Too long a push rod. Here's the thing with push rod length. Too long of a push rod pulls the pad of the rocker too far past the center of the valve. So you get these weird side loadings and stuff like that. Push rod length has to do with rocker arm geometry and not performance, because it's good. You're going to get the same lift and the same duration regardless of the geometry, right? Well, I shouldn't say that, but you're talking about a degree or two. It really is. It's inconsequential. Should it run good if you put it in dot to dot? It should run good dot to dot. You know what I mean? In theory, that's where it's supposed to be. Will yours actually do it? I have no idea. I can't guess. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know the specifications on your cam. Where was it ground? Or what? You know what I mean? I couldn't tell you. But yes, it's supposed to run good. Maybe not optimum, but it's supposed to run good when you put it in dot to dot. Mopar Den, thankfully, I've stockpiled some common maintenance parts. I'm doing the same thing, bro. I'm doing the same thing. Common maintenance stuff. That's exactly right. I'm stockpiling it. 3 team will run. What's happening, brother, man? How are you? Hey, Tony, 100-pound loss is about a tenth. How much horsepower would have to be added to drop that same tenth, say, on a 3,400-pound vehicle? About 30 horsepower. I think. I'll bet you Andy knows the exact number, but I'm going to say about 30 horsepower. And Uncle Kathy just popped in here and says I missed 2 super chats. Oh, geez. Oh, Space Invader, $2. Can we make a list of safe parts? I don't know what you mean by safe parts. I don't know. I don't know. Let me see this other one. And thank you for that, by the way. Oh, Clayton K. Can winter tires be used as cheap drag tires? The rubber is softer than regular tires. I'm having a tough time finding used drag radials here. Not really, man. Can winter tires be used as cheap drag tires? Yeah, the rubber is softer, but it's not just soft and hard. It's actually the composition of the rubber, the way the rubber is it's a material composition of the rubber. Yes, a winter tire is going to be better than, or what you would call a winter tire, a softer compound street tire is going to be better than a hard compound street tire, but it's not going to be anywhere near as grippy, as efficient as a drag radial is going to be. Um, Olive, what's happening, Olive? Um, let's see. Mr. Well, hey, Tom, will a 1 inch carb spacer help me get more torque out of? Well, Mr. Well, I don't know. Yeah, see, I don't know. That's it. Then you experiment with stuff like that. In theory, it should, but I can't tell you specifically. It's the kind of thing where you've just got to experiment with it. Bad Tree Productions, his advice is stay away from Nitto drag radials. Why is that Bad Tree? What experience did you have with the Nitto drag radials? What's happening, Chris Greenaway? Oh, I have water right there. I'm sitting saying, oh God, I'm thirsty. Boom, there's the water. Okay. Where were we? Bad Tree Productions, spinning off the line, no consistency versus Mickey Thompson and Hoosiers. Okay. Kathy, you're taking over the show here. Damn it. Off-roading, Tony, have you heard of the Gambler 500? Yes, and we were actually building a car to go do the Gambler 500 with, and I decided to change direction on it. And I think the biggest reason I decided to change direction was because the Tennessee one here was on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, and I couldn't get a straight answer. And I was like, I'm just not going to build a car for one event. So we switched the focus, and instead of being an off-road car, it's going to be a street freak gasser type of thing with a tunnel and big block in it. So that's, yeah, but yeah, I've heard of the Gambler 500. Oh, wait. Also, I'm going to put this out there as long as we got a few hundred people on here. Excuse me. I'm looking for, listen to me, right? I'm looking for a basket case Evo Sportster. Okay. When I say basket case, the only thing I need is a frame, okay, a set of wheels, spoke preferably, and a basic engine. I don't care if it runs. I don't care if it doesn't run. I don't care if it's been on fire. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm looking for an Evo Sporty basket case. If it's been run over, if it's been underwater, if it's been on fire, if it got dropped out of a helicopter, all fine by me. So I'm looking for an Evo Sporty basket case, cheap, right? Because I have something I want to do with one. Christopher Kennard sent $5. Nothing to ask. Just wanted to say thanks for the show. Christopher, that you didn't have to send me $5 to say thanks, but I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Thank you. Another bike. Ultra Kathy, what are you doing? You shouldn't even be watching this. You should be doing something important with your new channel, Dogs Eating Cheese. You shouldn't be interfering. You shouldn't be paying attention here. No, why would I want another motorcycle? I was just talking, just making conversation. ABB, how's the Buell going? That bike, let me tell you something, man. If you've never had it's crazy, right? If you've never had a Buell Blast, go get a Buell Blast. They are the most fun freaking motorcycle. That one's got Advanced Heinz pipes, so it's got this awesome sound too. That is the most fun motorcycle you could possibly imagine. They call it a blast for a reason. I know people can talk shit about it all you want. Those things are fun. Yeah, it runs great. I'm still waiting for a pickup for a module for it. Module has not gotten to me yet, so I can't ride it. I can only ride it for like a mile or two, and then it starts sputtering, and then you can't restart it for like a half hour. So, but yeah, fuel blasts are fun freaking bikes. That thing's got a low center of gravity. It weighs like maybe 350 pounds. The mine has a lot of this stuff off of it. It's kind of like a Street Fighter deal, but it has a low center of gravity, those little 16-inch rims, right? And you could just seriously, I'm going to get hurt on that bike. That bike's going to hurt me because you're forced when you come up on a turn. You are forced to like you just like this thing comes over you. It says try to drop a knee, right? Although I don't have the skill. I can't do that, right? But the urge is there. Come on, get a knee down, right? So I'm going to high side that bike. I will guarantee you before like next year is over, right? I will have high sided that bike at least once. It is just too much fun. New City Carpet, UTG, can you comment a bit on valve backspacing? New City Carpet, I did a whole video about valve backspacing, how to do it, why to do it, all of that stuff. Um, let me see here. Uh, oh, Kinsley's Tay-Sachs Miracle. Thank you, man. 2001 Dodge Ram 2500 4x4 with a 360 and an MV 4500. Just found out the bell housing is cracked. It's aluminum. If I weld it up, will it still be strong? Yes. If those bell housings are fairly decent quality aluminum. Yeah. Just make sure you follow the right procedures. Make sure you drill the ends of the crack. Make sure you V out the center of it so you can get good penetration in there, and you won't have any problem. It'll be fine. Larry Kurt, and clean, 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 clean. That's the biggest thing when you're going to weld aluminum, right? Aluminum has, and I don't weld. I'm not set up to weld aluminum, but I have welded aluminum in the past. Clean, 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 clean. That's the biggest thing with those. Larry Curtis, $5. Back on the subject of torsion bar suspension. What models ABC will be the place to look for bolt-on subframe? C-body. C-body has a bolt-on subframe. And 73 and up B bodies also have bolt-on subframes. Nicholas R. Hey UT, could you go over what it is about a fan shroud that robs engine power, please? Are there any racing applications where a shroud is beneficial or even necessary? Certainly not in a drag car. It's possible that it might be beneficial in certain types of racing. I'm sure they use it in certain types of racing. It does rob horsepower. I can't tell you the exact mechanism by which it robs horsepower, but I know that it does. How do I know that it does? Because other people have tested it and found that it robs horsepower. And I can see where consolidating that mass of air as it's coming through the radiator could cause a pile up at I can't tell you the exact mechanism by which it would happen, but it is common. It's common hot riding knowledge that they do rob horsepower. Boy, that's the lamest answer I ever gave anybody, right? But it's the honest answer. Um, the Kickendall, thank you. My weekly donation to the cult of the internal combustion goodness. Thank you, man. Buff Del Campo, Buff, I didn't even see you there. How's it going, my brother? Danny Boyd says fan shrouds are a communist conspiracy, and that's very possible. Mopar Den, we all love Ultra Kathy. Here's some cash for her to spend on the shop or for some double-sided tape to hang the UTG sign. Yeah, I'm waiting for the double-sided tape. I got a couple of things I got to put up. But yeah, she's working on her new channel called Dogs Eating Cheese. Joe K, if you're looking to lower RPM in a quarter-mile finish line, this equates to a larger diameter tire. Yes. Yes. Larger diameter tire is the same as going with a taller gear ratio. Danny Boyd says the air load is being concentrated on the blades by the shroud. Thank you for picking up where I left off. That makes sense. I'll go with that. Off-road against Tony, you up for doing a live talk with Derek? Not online. I mean, yeah, I would love to talk. Well, I'll probably reach out to him and grab a cup of coffee or something at some point. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would, but I don't want to. I don't want to. He's busy. I don't want to cross YouTube lines with him. Does that make any sense? If I talk to Derek, I don't want to talk to him about YouTube. How does that sound? I think we're both YouTubed out. Paul Cummins, did you get the lifters you needed for Bottle Rocket? Yes, I did. Now I'm actually going to do a whole video on something not bad about the lifters, but a situation that happens, availability of certain things and why certain things aren't. There's a video coming about that, Paul. Cooch, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow? I'm not sure. Laden or unladen, I don't know what the airspeed velocity is. The kicking bell, Tony, have you figured out the transition on the XJ? Yeah, the pump is pooched. I got to pull the pump out, the transmission out. And now, like, because now I'm adopting this thing, I'm doing all sorts of stuff to it. So I ordered some fender flares for it. I'm gonna pull the transmission out. I'm doing everything under the hood. I'm basically gutting under the hood to make this thing much more easily accessible and so on and so forth. And I want to clean it up nice enough that if I feel like using it as a daily driver for a week or two, like, we get shitty weather here for, this, like usually like January, February, we get snow and ice and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I want to make that truck so that if I need it for a daily driver for a week or two, I can. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of work on that thing. Pirate Apache, it depends if the swallow is African or European. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I've seen the Holy Grail at least 500 times. I forgot about that part. Kenny would, Tony, what valve lash will you use with the new lifters? There's nothing to go by, so I'm going to lash them at 20,000s. Better a little on the large side than. So I'm going to lash them at 20,000 and see what happens. Kickendall, do the A340E Supra upgrade to the Spragues and drop Bendix yellow clutch and frictions in. That coupled with a separate transcooler makes the AW4 bulletproof. Interesting. I'm half thinking about converting it to stick, half thinking about it because I figured as long as I got to take this whole thing apart, maybe I want to put a stick in it. And a buddy of mine has a set of clutch pedals and everything I need under the dash. So I'm half thinking about it. I just don't know if I want to do it or not. Well, probably in 1978, according to an aerophysicist, there is a little vortex on each side of the fan as it spins. And when you have a fan shut, it restricts the airflow and drags on the engine. That makes sense. Off-road against Tony, what would I expect if I stacked like 5 1-inch carb spacers because I'm making a video on it, no clue what to expect. Hey, Lobo GTX, you're going to reach a point of diminishing returns with the spacer height. I think once you get over like 3 inches or so, there's diminishing returns. So I don't know. But try it. It's a great video. John Wilburn saying he wouldn't do a manual for off-road. The kicker though, the AX15 is a great trans. The Super is running behind the turbo variant. You can order rebuild kits from a Super. There's upgraded internals. Both the AW4 and the AX15 were Asian Toyota transmissions. So, kicker though, what do you recommend? Should I mean, stick with the automatic or throw a stick in it? Mr. Wiltone, if you go to stick, will you put a pistol grip shifter? No. The only thing that should have a pistol grip shifter is a 1970 and up, 1970 to 74 B body or E body. Nothing else should ever have a pistol grip shifter. Those things are sacred. They belong in those cars and those cars only. The Rapid is a killer. Now, Tim the Enchanter, man, that's the best part of the movie. That is the absolute best part of the movie. He makes the movie, Tim the Enchanter. Matt S., you've got a 90 Dakota 2.5 parts truck with the AX15. Is it a four-wheel drive? I know the 2.5's got the same bolt pattern as the 5.0. Is it two or four-wheel drive? Because if it's four-wheel drive, I may buy it from you. And he's got teeth like this. Really, King, the faux pistol grip on slap sticks drive me nuts. Bro, like I remember the first time I saw that, I almost blacked out. Okay, it was like a 74 Charger, right? And the guy and I glanced in and I says, "Oh shit, it's 4-speed, right?" And I was looking at it and I said, "No, wait a minute, it's not a 4. What the fuck is that, right?" Yeah, and I almost blacked out. All of the blood ran away from my head, right? It was pistol grip and an automatic. I'm like, where is the giant asteroid? You know what I'm saying? Maybe we really do need to be depopulated at this point. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Joe K, $5. Thank you, sir. Just to finish my question, fourth gear is 1-to-1, and I'm just on the edge of having to shift to fifth at the end of the quarter. 410 rear gear, 25.7-inch tall tire. Okay. So you want to keep it in fourth. Joe K, are you running out of? I mean, are you running out of steam at like the 1,100 foot mark, and you're just the last 200 feet you're just on? Is that the problem? Is that what's going on? Because I've had that issue with certain cars where the gearing is such that you're afraid to you don't want to upshift. You're right there. You can taste the stripe. You can stick your tongue out and lick the stripe, and yet there's still another gear to pull. And I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. But I mean, are you running out of steam at like the 1,000, 1,100 foot mark? Is that where your issue is? John Wilbur saying, great off-road channel, Duddy's Adventure. Okay. Tony, AX15 for off-road, AW4 when done correctly for daily driving and towing. AW4 has a higher capacity when towing, but the AX has a lower first gear, which is better when off-road. All right, I guess I'm taking the whole thing apart and I'm going through it all. So I will dwell on all of this and take that all into consideration. Roy Fentrup, you need to run out of steam 3 yards before the line. 9 feet? Is that not? No. 3, 6, 9. Yeah, 9 feet. Yeah. Okay. Tony, it's a 2. Yeah, it won't work for this one. It's 4-wheel drive. Which means I got to change the output shaft and everything, and I don't want to get involved in any of that. Jason Fitch, UT. Wilburn had a great chat with Jed Scott. I look forward to seeing him on UTG as well. Yeah, we'd probably do something definitely. All right, Kickendall, I will definitely take you up on that when we get to that point. Thank you. B Mark Helvedier, not for a while. Not for a while. Abel D, UT, if there was a car you'd take a firearm and spray it because you just to test it, which car would it be? Past or present car in your fleet? Uh, I literally love every car in my fleet. I mean, I couldn't imagine. Uh, I've never had a car. I mean, honestly, bro, I've never had a car. I can't. I've never had a car that I had that kind of animosity towards. You know, if a car gives me that kind of trouble, I just off and I just okay. You know, I could sense the problems coming. You know, and if I don't want to deal with the problems, I just pass it along or part it out. You know. Um, Sean the person, whatever happened to the guy with the warehouse full of Jeep parts? Was it all scrapped out, mostly saved? He, as a result of that video, he sold a lot of stuff. He moved a lot of stuff. But I don't know. I don't know what was left. I haven't followed up on it, so I don't know. Um, Tony, would you shoot the haunted car, or was that the one you crushed? I've there have been several. I did crush one. Um, Used the holy hand grenade. Uh, let's see. Charlotte, Tony's still reeling over that camshaft thing. Mind blown, man. I'm telling you, I wasn't expecting that. But I have the cam. It's in a package. They got it back to me. They got it back to me today. And when we're done with this, I'm gonna go open it up and start checking it. Cheeseburgers, count to three, not two nor one, unless passing. I forgot how that goes. Yes, of course, the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Where's Houston? He's taking care of AHRA business right now. Curtis Randolph, amazing they got it back to you that fast. Good on them. Yes. You say, oh, Scott's here. Jed's here. Um, See, that's what I'm saying. Like they really they turned it around, and that's why you know, yeah, there's been a lot of problems with this particular can manufacturer, but it appears that they're trying to do the right thing right now. So you know, Roger Isbell going to be in Paris, Tennessee next week. Okay, if I stop by with the 65 Valiant, bro, I have no idea. I have so many things going on. I can't tell you from one day to the next where I'm going to be or when I'm going to be there. Um, Mike Batista, how's the Slant Six running? Did it eat the new bearings yet? Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm absolutely positive it did. Um, yeah, that's why that's as far as I was going to go was just first gear in the parking lot because I don't want to throw a rod and hurt that block. I have so much time in that block. I like for me to duplicate the work that I have in that block as far as lightning and everything goes, man, I just don't want to go through that again. So that's the only reason. Like I said, first year, you know what I mean? That's as far as we're gonna go. And if it's not knocking, I'll drive it back into the. So that's all I did. You know, just I didn't hear it knocking. So okay, it's good enough. And I drove it back into the shop. But no, I wasn't gonna go. I wasn't gonna go an inch past that because I don't want to throw a rod in that thing and have to start all over again. Jason Fitch, if they got it back that fast, I mailed a new one. Either they found a solution ASAP. Well, there wasn't a solution. It had to be turned. The journal surfaces had to be turned 2 thousandths of an inch. So it would really just be a matter of taking the package to the machinist and saying, take 2 thousandths off the journals. Pentasar, I hope the rest of the cam is ground correctly. So do I, and that's why as soon as we're done with this, I'm sticking a cam in the motor. I'm going to degree it, and I'm going to check every single cylinder to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be. Bruce W, what's happening, brother, man? Sorry you're late. You're not late. Loving the junkyard jet. So am I. The guys have their reasons for what they are doing, and that's all good. Plan Z, really cool progress. Everything's moving forward. Slowly, slowly inching forward, but we're all moving everything forward. Fubar, Dallas is spending some quality time with his microphone. Oh, that's Fubar. I wasn't expecting that from you, man. Let's see. Abel the UT, you realize you have a little genius garage going, like Casey Push going there with the guy who's building the junk rocket. Will you consider making it an institution for future generations? I don't get along very well with most people. So the only people who I get along who are in person, right? Like online, it's different. Like I'm hanging out here with you guys, that's a completely different thing. In reality, like in real life, um, I don't get along with most people. And for me to get along with you, right? You like to be in the shop and work with you, right? That type of thing. You have to be fucking dedicated, right? Not necessarily to me. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for people who are dedicated to me, but dedicated to the job or the task or the mission at hand, right? And then I can overlook everything and we can be friends and we can get along really good. So those guys are very dedicated to what they're doing. They're very dedicated. You know what I mean? I know what they have to do in order to even do a little bit of work on this company because they work full-time jobs and they live an hour from here. So for them to do what they do and they're dedicated. And so that's why I get along with them and I like them. I genuinely like them. Most people that cross my path that like pop into, oh, I want to be a part of this. I want to help. It's like, well, why are you even talking? Why are you saying anything? You should be working. You shouldn't be talking. So, that's the way I am. Roger Isabel, that's me. ADHD, high functioning autism. Yeah, exactly. Bruce W. Is any news on Kiwi and the Hemi-Mitsubishi? I have not heard from Kiwi. Wheelie King, tunnel ram, inline or sideways carbs, and why? It only has to do with the capacity of the carburetors. If all you need is a small bowl carburetor, 600 CFM, smaller, even the 660s were side hung float balls. So smaller carburetors, you mount them in line. It's the easiest and simplest way to do it. If you've got to go to a larger capacity, you got to go to a 4150, a 60, or you got to go to a Dominator. Obviously, you have to mount them sideways. So it's not a matter of which works better or worse. It's a matter of what type of carburetor are you using. Roy Frenchop would love to see Tony working a parts counter. Never happened, man. Never happened. I would attack the first person who came in. I wouldn't be able to handle it. I wouldn't be able to handle it. Pentastar, the Junkyard Jet guys remind me of myself, but I didn't have no help. Good job. Yeah, well, I mean, they're working together as a team. Very, very old school, man. They're taking a very old school approach to it. Kathleen Murray loves the smell of her carburetor. I like you, Kathleen. You're good people. Jason Fitch, Tony, when are you going to do more ADHD related videos? I know that's not your goal, but I don't think you realize how many of us relate. It's like you're explaining my mindset. Bro, every single video I do is ADHD. Only I don't have the H part. I never had the H part. Um, I was never hyperactive. But ADD is just light duty autism. You know what I mean? Is what it comes down to. But it's like every video I do is ADD. Danny Boyd, I don't see what's so bad about the smell of used axle oil. Old gear oil, women love the smell of old gear oil. I don't know why that is, but there's something about it that appeals to women. They'll say, "Oh, that stinks," but it smells good. Yeah, there's something about that. I don't know what it is. Uh, Sean the person, with the introduction of off-roading and bikes now, I just read ahead before I read it out loud. With the introduction of off-roading and bikes now, is there any chance of seeing you pick up a dirt bike or ATV on the channel? All right, so I was like, I need a dirt bike. I need a dirt bike. And then I was like, I don't need another complication, right? And then I thought about it, thought about it, and I says, I'm gonna build. So here's what happened. Okay, here's what happened. Here's what happened. And I'm not. I'm probably not. I'm probably not gonna do this. I'm probably not gonna. I know I'm not gonna do it. I know I'm not gonna do it because I don't have the time to do it. But I like it. I like the idea of it. So I saw a film about the Mint 400. Okay, and they have this class. They brought motorcycles back to the Mint 400. They haven't run off-road motorcycles now in I guess since like the 70s. Okay, like the middle 70s. They haven't run motorcycles. It was a car truck event only. So they brought back motorcycles a couple of years ago, and there's this crew in that area, that region of the country, right? That run these. Their deal is sportsters. Their deal is basically street legal sportsters. Okay, and they take these things and they flat track race them and they desert race them. Okay, and I looked at that and I was like, right now I'm too. I first of all, I love motorcycles. I always love motorcycles. I don't have a very high skill level. And meaning that, I mean, I can ride a motorcycle, that's no problem. I can drag race a motorcycle, that's no problem. But as far as like handling and stuff like that, I don't have very high skill levels. My body isn't built for it. That's a very athletic thing. Your body has to be built for it. Mine is not. So, but I still love the idea of it. So I'm looking right now for a basket case Sportster. Um, and I'm needing just an Evo motor, okay, a frame, and a couple of wheels. That's all I need. And I want to put together something with knobby tires, all stripped down, that's along the lines of what those guys have. And I want to go find places to screw around with it. You know what I mean? And then maybe I can find some local flat track and give that a shot. I don't know. Like I says, I don't have the skill level for it. I'm not a good rider. I'm not an athlete. You know what I'm saying? But I still want to go out there and make noise anyway. So I think I'm looking for one of those. Uh, Scott Speech up. Tony, you still binging Bikes and Beards? I've been enjoying the show. Right? Isn't he great? Right? That he is fantastic. He's like one of the best freaking YouTubers I've ever seen. The bikes and SRK Cycles. He does two channels. Oh, this guy gets the time. He does two channels: SRK Cycles and Bikes and Beards. And what a fantastic, yeah, awesome guy. Um, Joe in Michigan, ever consider a history lesson video on the B1 BBO? Well, not really, because it's such a limited thing. There's so few people that would actually be interested in that. You remember when I do a when we do a video, okay, it has to pass the test of will this get views, and a video has to get 20,000 views for me to make it worthwhile doing, right? So I have to look at that like the B1 head video, or any like this. There's 1,000 videos, okay? There's 1,000 videos, but I have if we put a video out, it has to go out with the idea that it's going to get 20,000 views in the first 48 hours or so. If a video doesn't have the potential of doing the 20,000 view minimum, which is what I need to pay the bills. So if a video does not do a minimum 20,000 or doesn't have the potential to do 20,000 views in the first 2 days of being out there, then we don't do them. And so a video on on the B1 head would be along those lines, where it's just like there isn't going to be enough interest. It's kind of video that's going to get like 8,000 views, 9,000 views in the first day, and it won't see that 20,000 views for probably 3 months or 4 months. And so that's why we don't do videos like that. Remember, this is a business. No matter how no matter how you slice it, no matter how you cut it, YouTube is a business, and we have to look at certain. Does that make any sense? Um, oh, you have an RC30, but remember when the RC51 came out? I wanted that so bad. I had a TL1000 at the time, but I wanted that RC51. Um, Tony, what are your favorite curses to encourage parts to fit or things to stop fighting you? I'm an Italian, man. This stuff just flows out of my mouth. I've learned to curb it I've learned to curb it doing these lives and making videos. But I mean, I'm an Italian, so the second word we learn is fuck. You know what I mean? It's like this is the way it is. So it's like, what course is doing it? Uh, Wayne Buzzle, did I ever run a 900 Kawasaki Eliminator? No, I don't believe that I have. KZ1000s, H1s, H2s. Um, I had a KZ600 that was just awesome. What a sweet bike that was. But no, I've never ridden a 900. Um, Doug Norton, if you guys like cool bike builds, check out Alan Milliard on YouTube. He did a V12 made from two Kawasaki KZ1300s. That guy is not human. Okay, what he's talking about, this guy, right? Uh, he he Milliard is not human. Okay, this guy has skills and vision from another dimension. He's another species. He can't be human. There's just no way. You go look at some of the stuff he has built. It's mind blowing. Bantry, the RC51 was a twin. The RC51 was a V twin. It was to go against the Ducatis, a 996. That was the RC51 was a direct competitor, and I was jonesing. I at the time I had a Ducati. I had a lot of motorcycles. I had a 750 Monster, which was a cool bike. You know, the thing about that riding around on a Monster was just listening to it. I could, you know, it was like the bike ran okay, it handled okay, everything okay, but the whole trip to the Ducati was just listening to it. It was the only bike I've ever owned that I looked forward to stoplights because you know you get to the stoplight and you can hear all the bits whirring around and it's like, oh, that's just magical. You know what I mean? So but there's a Ducati tax, and I didn't want to pay the Ducati tax. And the 996 had just come out. This was, oh God, I didn't even know what year it was, man, sometime in the late 90s. And the 996 had just come out. And I was at the New York Motorcycle Show, and I was like, oh, I was in a wheelchair. I was in a wheelchair, right? When I seen this bike the first time, because I had just wrecked one, right? And I was in a wheelchair, and I see the 996, and I was like, that's it, okay? And then it's, oh, but then it's the Ducati tax, right? And I was coming this close to pulling the trigger on a 996 when the RC51 came out. And I was like, no, I need the RC51. That's the bike that I need. But in the meantime, I wanted to be, you know, I ended up with a TL1000, which was not a bad choice. The TL1000 worked really well. It had Yosh pipes and it had a programmer. It was a good, strong bike. But the RC51, the thing about the RC51, man, was that it was just so narrow. It reminded me of an old Sportster, man. You know, like this had that pencil thin kind of deal, right? It looked like a bike that I could really get over my head and high slide with like great fanfare. So, but alas, I never got one. Okay. Joe in Michigan, I have a Suzuki SV1000 naked. The RC51 sounds better and makes more horsepower and torque. People always ask my SV is a Ducati. The SV1000 is the TL1000, but it's detuned. You can pump those things up, man. I mean, illuminators are rowdy. Yeah, well, my friend Chuck has one, but I haven't ridden it. Outlast Metalworks. Where is the roll up your windows video? I can't find it. I don't know. I mean, it should be up on the. I don't know. I'm as many amazingly cool bikes as there are out there. Um, and actually, see, I know this is like way out there, right? But I was even looking at the Pan America. I said, oh, you know, an adventure bike might be pretty cool. So I was actually considering a Pan America, but I'm not because they make a good power, man. It's like 150 freaking horsepower. Um, but I've I've gotten to the point now, right, where I want to stick with one type of bike so that I can stockpile parts and have spares on hand, right? And so that's why I'm going to stick with Sportsters and Sportster derivatives because it's easy for me to stockpile transmission parts, clutch parts, and all of the stuff that you go through. Does that make any sense? There are so many fantastic bikes out there today. If you're into motorcycles, man, this is like the golden age. There's just so much awesome stuff out there. Um, but I'm going to stick with Sportster derivatives just because they're so easy to get stuff for. They're easy to hot rod. They're easy to make power. They're stronger than dirt. I mean, they really are. You can beat the hell out of them. And that's why I'm going to just stick with Sportster derivatives. There's probably an XB9 in my future, you know. I bet you've got a KLR 650. Yeah, those are great bikes, man. Those are great bikes. Uh, David Co. Ever had any Pan-Ams? No, never. I've only been a Sportster guy. I've never had any interest in any of the big twins. Yeah, the new Sportster S is cool, but it's not a sporty. See, to me, it's just not a Sportster. 90 degree twin. Yeah, if I was going to buy a Sportster S, I would go buy a Pan America. Danny Boy, the Rice Rocket guys really ride their bikes. The Harley crowd is just tooling around. I don't identify as a Harley person. I never did. I'm not a biker. A biker, right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I spent many nights at Hogs and Heifers and all that. I have many friends wearing colors and all this other shit, and it's just not my scene. It never was. It never will be. I don't identify myself as a biker, but I like Sportsters. There's just something about Sportsters that I've always liked. I've always been drawn to Sportsters. I've always been drawn to twins. So that's Red Yelich. First week I had my sports car was drag racing. Oh, Dakota's out of timeout. Excellent. I already look like a biker. I may look like a biker, but I'm not a biker. I've never, I don't consider myself a biker. Never have, never will. And what he's saying, the majority of Harley riders are the biggest cosplayers in the world. Yeah, I get that. The SV650 is the most fun bike I ever rode. No, it's not the most fun bike I ever rode. It's one of the most fun bikes I ever rode. Your brother has a 5,000 bounty on his leathers because he's a one percenter. Yeah, Triumphs are cool. I was into Beezers, man. I had a couple of Beezers. I had two A65s. I had one that was chopped. It was really more of a bobber, and I had one that was virgin. I used to keep it in my living room, my house in New York. Joe Brennan, I don't look like a biker. I look like a mobster because I don't have any tattoos, right? Mobsters don't have tattoos because you never have identifying marks on you. Ever have a Norton? Yes, I had an 850 Commando, and it was a miserable experience in so many ways. The 850, I had that when I lived in New York. I had it for like a couple of weeks, and I was just like, goodbye, right? So as I always wanted them, they're beautiful bikes, right? And there's nothing to sound. They have an awesome sound, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Commando. Okay, 850cc vertical twin. Okay, it vibrates like nothing else. And I had it when I was in New York. So in New York, the surface roads, the regular street roads are 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. Okay, so you stick closer to 30 miles an hour. The parkways are like 50 miles an hour, so you stick to that 50 miles. This is speed the traffic moves at. Well, it just so happens that the Norton Commando goes into maximum vibration at the speed traffic moves in New York City. So no matter what, if you're just keeping up with traffic, you're riding a paint shaker. If you can go 5 miles an hour faster, it goes away. If you go 5 miles an hour slower, it goes away. But at 30 miles an hour, the Norton Commando is like, and then you get to like 40 miles an hour and it's smooth and it's perfect. And you get to 50 miles an hour and it goes back to, and it vibrates like nothing you can't imagine. And it just so happened that its maximum vibration was always at the speed of traffic moving in New York City. And so that's why it left a really bad taste in my mouth. I think if I had one here now, it would be a whole different story. Tony, sounds like every part hanging off your whole body has a scar on it, and it does. You can't be a gangster. Reavers, what do you think about the XR 1000 Sportster? It was a letdown. I rode one. I never owned one. I rode one. I almost bought it. It was over at Super Cycles. This guy named Fat Walter on Staten Island, Super Cycles. And he had one. And I came close to buying it. And I took it for a ride. And I was just disappointed in it. It just didn't do what I wanted it to do. So I passed on it. Squirt McGurk, thank you, sir. I appreciate that, Squirt. Quick tech question before bed. When my throttle got stuck earlier, I couldn't shut it down because it stayed dieseling with the ignition off. Okay. Timing is 15 base, 35 full compression, about 10 to 1. It stayed dieseling with the engine off. Well, you did shut it off, but it stayed dieseling. But it wasn't dieseling and making any power. It was just dieseling. So yeah, okay, so your throttle's stuck and you kill the ignition and you hear the motor still going because it's running on pre-ignition. No, it wasn't pulling you. And if you had, let's say it was a stick and you came to a stop with the clutch engaged, it would have just stopped. You wouldn't have had enough power with a dieseling to pull yourself ahead. So that's not really something to be concerned with. I wouldn't worry about it. Bad-free productions, no matter how fast the bike is. I got hit by an SUV on a Honda moped last year. Kind of got a broken back out of the deal. Lady kept driving away, said I was nice too. I know, man. I've been hit by them too. I didn't ride for 10 years. The last time I was on a bike, I was minding my own business, and a car made a left turn, and I had two accidents where I ended up with broken shit from people making left turns in front of me. I totaled an Oldsmobile with my right leg. But the last time I sold off all my bikes. I had one bike. I said, I'm just going to keep one bike for Sunday afternoon ride and that type of thing, right? And I stopped at a house party. I was in the music thing for a while, and I stopped at a house party that one of my bands was playing at. And afterwards, I'm leaving there, and I'm on my way back, and I'm riding along, and I'm just riding along, and a guy makes a left turn, and he's coming right at me, like literally, not in front of me. He's turning into me, and I leaned the bike over as far as I could, and I scooted my hip out of the way, and his front bumper took the turn signal off the back of my bike, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I just can't. I'm just done. So I sold that bike, and I didn't ride for 10 fucking years. But I'm 60, right? It's like, I just don't care. I gotta get back and win. I love motorcycles so much, you have no idea. So I'm back on two wheels. Uh, don't worry, Tony, you'll have a Harley someday. Bro, I have no interest in big twins. I have never had interest in big twins. My brother has a Road King, right? I got on that. I just took a spin on that, I don't know, about a year ago or so, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like this, right? And bro, I could not like it. I just could not like it. I got about 5 miles from his place. I jumped on an interstate. I went in exit, right? And I was like, oh, this is just so not me, man. And I turned it around and I rode it back. Now let me tell you how much not a big twin guy I am. Okay, how much I'm not a big twin guy I am. I had a customer that had a V-Star 650. Okay, this was back in New York, right? And he brought it to me. I did all the usual stuff, right? that was available for the bike. It was still a new bike at the time. They had just come out. And whatever trinkets and accessories and so on and so forth that he was able to buy for it, I put on it for him. And I remember I would ride that bike on occasion. And I will tell you right now, if I had a choice between a V-Star 650 or a fucking Road King, I'd be on the V-Star because it's just a happier bike. It's a lighter bike. It's a smoother bike. It's a more friendly bike, right? So that's how not a Harley big twin guy I am. I would take a metric cruiser before I would take a big twin. Mopar Man, 1978. My dad belonged to a motorcycle club back in the day, 70s and early 80s, Grim Reapers Motorcycle Club. They wouldn't take kindly to be called cosplay characters. They rode bikes everywhere, even in the winter. Bro, no, those were hardcore people. Those were real bikers, okay? But you go on a typical Sunday afternoon. I mean, I see them here all the time, and that's exactly what they're. They're not bikers. They're cosplay players. They only ride their bike once a week. It's dolled out and decked out with everything you could possibly imagine. They have their chaps and they have their Sons of Anarchy fucking stuff, and they're going out there. And that's what's out there today. You know what I'm saying? There's a big difference between guys who rode back in the day and who you have out there today. Two completely different characters. Mo Parment, she bought a 650 V Star new in 2004. I loved it. It's a happy bike. It's a happy bike. You can't, unless you have some sort of unreasonable prejudice, there's no way that you could get on a V Star, one of the little V Stars, and not love the bike. They're so friendly. Big Bad John, hey Uncle Tony, are Miatas all the fun they say they are? I don't think so. I don't think so. We were out blasting around with mine last week. Garrett's gonna be taking that car and doing this thing with it. And we threw a battery in it and we were blasting around the parking lot with it. And man, it was okay. It was fun. By the way, Garrett, who's had Miata, says that this one over here is much faster than a stock Miata. I don't know because I've never driven a stock Miata. I couldn't tell you the difference. But we had fun, man. We were blasting around with it. We were doing some four-wheel drifts through because it was a Sunday and there was nobody in the parking lot, so we were really go crazy in there. Kathy wasn't around to film, so it was just us guys screwing around. Uh, but yeah, it's not as much fun as I thought it would be. I really lost interest in it. Uh, Tony, have you ever played with a straight eight engine? I have not. Um, I currently own, your name is just two asterisks. That's cool. I currently own a 2001 V-Star 650 with 22,000 miles on it and bought it for 1,300 bucks. Yeah, you get a screaming deal. Put 1,000 into it, and wow, it's been a great bike. Yeah, they're fantastic. If anybody out there is considering just a cheap, fun, easy to maintain cruiser, man, those V-Star 650s are epic. They're epic. Forget about, oh no, I need an 1100. No, you do not need an 1100. That little 650 will blast you down the highway at 80, 85 miles an hour all day long. You could drive it from one end of the country to the other, and it just, never skip a beat. It'll never get winded. You can run it two up across the country, and it's just fine. Those are great bikes, man. Those are great bikes. Uh, David Cole, it was like when I killed a man in prison. It was satisfying. It was satisfying. Absorbing his energy was the best part about it. Abel D, you want my attention? Abel D, you got my attention. What do you got, buddy? Cars and coffee. Fun until you run out of coffee. I don't have much patience for cars and coffee. Abel D, UT, going to cruise my Jay Leno's place. Oh, cruise by Jay Leno's place. What is it you want to see about the Chrysler Jet car? I want to be specific for when I talk to him. Hopefully, I can cross paths with. I want underneath the car. I need to talk to somebody who can make the video. So if you can get somebody to contact me, uncletonysgarage@gmail.com, and just put Leno's turbine in the subject matter. If you can just get somebody to contact me, I can tell them specifically what I want covered. Jesse Wayne, when I was in high school back in the late 90s, I used to ride my 72 XR 750 frame with an XLCH 1000 board and stroke to 77 cubic inches with a John Hunt MIG, kicking it over, parking it, broke my ankle. I have sports to knee, bro. I have sports to knee. I have motorcycle injury from head to toe. I mean, like literally from head to toe. Motorcycles have not been kind to me. I love them anyway, though. Snow Crusher. My GL 1800 is great. It's my two-wheel Civic. It has air conditioning. I just saw a thing recently about how those gold wings are popping up at estate sales and dirt cheap. Evidently, you can get into a really sweet, pristine, low mileage, like or 90s, 2000 era gold wing for like pennies because they were all popping up at these estate sales. The guys who bought those things back in, let's say, 2000, they were like 65, 70 years old, and they're all dropping dead, and all of these bikes are showing up at estate sales. Gold wings are smooth. Uh, do you have yet? Gold wings are. See, gold wings. They're a little overstuffed for my taste. But have you ever ridden a Valkyrie? The Valkyrie is basically it's a gold wing without any of the gold wing stuff. It's done in a cruiser style. The Valkyrie is awesome. The really nice. I mean, it's a bike that you just. Then they did the Rune. I think they called it the Rune after that. They did the Valkyrie for a couple of years, and then they reconfigured it and they made the Rune. Right? I'm pretty sure that's what they called it. But the Valkyrie was amazing, amazing bike. Hunter Skaggs. Hey, Tony, I'm 16. I'd like to build engines for a living. Oof, where should I start? Never done it before, but absolutely love tearing them down and messing with them. Well, that's where you start. You start by tearing them down and messing with them. Um, I mean, you start by becoming familiar. If you want to build engines, you need to be proficient with measuring devices. You need to learn attention to detail. I mean, that's the thing. It's just the focus. It's all attention to detail. And well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, it's like you it's easy to fall into, like, if you build engines, it's easy, and it just happened with me with this camshaft, where it's like you make assumptions, and when you make assumptions, you screw up. And so building engines is a discipline. I myself, and it's like we did that video talking about the difference between an engine builder and somebody who builds engines, right? I am not an engine builder. I don't have the patience to be an engine builder. I don't have the mentality to be an engine builder. I build engines. There's a big difference. So if you want to be an engine builder, and being an actual engine builder, well, this is what you do. Okay, you build engines, and that's your thing. That's all you do. It's like it's very close to it's like a martial art of the automotive world. Okay, where it's everything has to be precise, and your math and your head and your philosophies and everything have to be like tight, in order to be an engine builder. Does that make any sense? I am not an engine builder. I don't have the mentality for an engine builder. I mean, I will build an engine. I've built hundreds of engines, but I'm not an engine builder. See, there's a big difference between the two, and that's what you have to, Hunter. That's what you have to determine at your stage of the game at 16. Do you want to screw around with engines, or do you want to dive into that discipline and become an artist known as an engine builder? Hunter Couch. At what age did you know you have arrived in life? When did you become yourself? Oh, bro, that's a deep question. That's a deep question. I'm always I'm always evolving, and I'm always learning, and I'm always learning more about myself, and I'm always you never do. You never do. You just keep going, man. And that's the thing. Like, you just when you think you know yourself, and just when you think that you are yourself, you have to fucking throw all it off and start a new venture, get into something new and different. You know what I'm saying? And I've done that my whole life. I'll switch careers at the drop of a hat. I always have, and it's like, Hunter, key to a successful life is to never pause. Okay, never pause. Work off of your impulse. If something seems like it's right, run to it. Right? Don't think about it. If you think about it, you'll talk yourself out of it. Right? If something seems right, if you're drawn to it, run to it. When something says no, it's not that, no more, I'm not going to do this anymore, walk away from it. Right? Does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? It's like here, I found YouTube, okay, and I'm loving YouTube. I'm having a great experience with YouTube. But there's going to come a point where I'm going to look at the camera, and I'm going to say, I don't feel like doing this anymore, and I will just stop. And that's how you have to be with life. You know what I mean? You gotta be able to have that kind of freedom with life. Then you'll discover who you are and what you're capable of doing. Always put yourself behind the eight ball. Always put a challenge. Always make a challenge that's more than you can accomplish. Always have that. Always be working towards things that are bigger than you can accomplish. I hope that's something for you, my brother. Mike Batista, all the engine builder can do is check the machine work. No, Mike, the engine builder is the machinist, and the engine builder is the one who's speccing all of the various componentries, right? No, the guy who builds engine, all he can do is assemble the parts. Now, an engine builder is the one who designs those things. Parker Russell, what conspiracy do you find most likely? We'll talk about that on Sunday. I tell you what, so Halloween. I'm gonna come because I have a lot of work to do tonight. I got the cam back from for the Hemi, and I'm gonna go work on that now. I have to check everything on it, so it's still in the package. So I gotta wrap this up soon. But Halloween, right? Halloween night, the 31st. Steve Magnanti is going to be back here, and we're going to do a show on all of this stuff. Okay, so if you want to talk about flying saucers, ghosts, conspiracies, any of that stuff, then pop in Sunday night at Halloween, and we'll have Steve Meggs here, and we'll have fun with that. So. Travis Small Parker Watch says, Hunter Skaggs, if you want to be an engine builder, message me. Well, there you go, man. So, Dutch Warner, Alan Milliard, a retired rocket scientist, built motorcycle engines. He's not human. He's not human. Go watch what this guy does. He's just over the top. He's amazing, amazing person. Um, all right. So, guys, first, our awesome mods, John, Ari, Fubar, Zero, thank you so much. Right? Everybody contributed with Super Chat. Thank you so much. You guys keep the bills paid. Could not do this stuff without you. Thank you. And everybody who just contributed with your good conversation and your presence, you're equally, my gratitude goes to you equally. So I am going to check out of here. This weekend, oh God, I don't believe I'm going to do this. Friday night will be live for the setup. Saturday we'll be live putting the engine together and getting it all assembled and getting it painted. Sunday we'll be live putting the motor in the car, getting it all together, breaking in the cam, and then taking it out the door. So we're going to have I'm going to estimate about 30 freaking hours of live broadcast this weekend, starting Friday night. So the Junkyard Jet guys are going to be here. Helping out. Lots of people are going to be coming and going, helping out. So you're definitely going to want to come for that. And like I said, our usual Sunday night show. We'll probably do a Sunday night show Sunday anyway, just to wrap things up. Dallas will be back in about 2 weeks or so. I may not do the show next Wednesday. I'm not sure. Let's see how it rolls. Dallas will be back. He's busy. He's coming over doing his stuff. But yeah, we'll see you guys Friday night. And like I said, I gotta go work on this thing. I gotta at least I gotta find what the next gotcha is. All right, I gotta get it out of the package to find out what the next gotcha is. I love this shit. I'll see you tomorrow.